Hi everyone, welcome to another episode from my lit review series. Today I'm focusing on Kringle's new Spring Summer 2026 Reserve collection with 6 candles. If you're new here, this is the 3-Wick Thesis candle channel. My name is Tracy and I am a Kringle ambassador, and I was lucky enough to be gifted these 6 candles in PR. Thank you so much for continuing to use my ambassador code. It is viewers like you that have allowed me to continue to receive PR, and I really appreciate it because I'm having so much fun exploring the new with you and sharing my insights. I also want to thank Kringle for giving these to me and including me in their ambassador program and trusting me to be honest and share my feedback with you all. It's really nice to be a part of an ambassador program that is okay with you being critical and or not liking some of the scents that you share on your channel. So I love Kringle for that reason, and I love y'all for supporting me and my honest insights, because I know not everybody, including not all businesses, want honest feedback on their products. Let me tell you, speaking of honest feedback, I got this shipment. Today is Friday. I opened it up. I started to record this video and I got to the second candle, which was the Pear one, Pear Green Tea. And I'll clip in a video here from that initial recording. There was so much oil on the top of the candle that it actually was forming a pool if I tilted the jar sideways, like an actual multiple millimeter depth pool of oil sitting on top of the wax. It was all over the outside of the jar. It was getting all over my hands. It was dripping onto my rug and all over the box. I paused the recording, made the executive decision because I'm in a bit of a time pinch here. These are coming out Thursday, March 5th at 12 p.m. noon, and I want to make sure I have enough time to give you all insight, to burn through these, to get a feel for them, to share them with you. So I decided to stop recording, remove the 3 candles that have that much oil in them. I'm going to share with you the 3 that are less oily, cut the video, come back, share the next 3 once that oil has been reabsorbed into the wax, cut again, and then share with you my post-burn analysis on all 6. So if you're familiar with my lit review format, this is going to feel a little bit different, and that is because I have heard that if you let your candles acclimate to your space for a couple of days, that the oils will reabsorb into the wax. The other thing I felt like it was doing, I was trying to do a cold impression, and it felt so strong and overpowering that it was overwhelming my senses, and I didn't really feel like I could pick out the scent notes, and I didn't want to skew my cold impression of those candles. So I'm going to start with sharing with you the 3 that are not oily. One of those I have already sniffed because it was the first one I pulled out of the box, and it was before I got to the oil problem. So I'll share that one with you, plus 2 new ones that I have not smelled yet. I also want to let you know that Kringle is aware of this issue. Not only have ambassadors been receiving shipments with oily candles, but customers have been as well. Right now, they are attributing it to the sub-zero temperatures in Maine. As you might imagine, loading a warmer air room temperature candle onto a UPS or FedEx ground truck, shipping it through freezing weather into a hot space here in California. Today is 77 degrees where I'm at. That shifting in temperature can really affect the way wax shrinks and behaves, and the oils are releasing as a result. So I don't think this is a quality control issue. It sounds like it is a one-off unique situation due to the temperature that has been sub-zero in Maine. Okay, let's talk about these reserve jar vessels before we get into talking about the scents. These are the large jar vessels that you will get with the $31 candles, but the difference is the reserve jars are painted black. This is somewhat transparent. When you have the flame lit, you get a sense of like a flicker, but you're not going to see the flame as well as you do with the regular large jar. For me, that has been a safety hazard. I went to bed one night and left lemon splash burning because I looked over at the table and it didn't look like it was lit, but it actually was, and I left it going overnight. Luckily, nothing happened. That is on me, but I also would prefer this to be more transparent so that I could see the flame better. 1, for safety reasons, but 2, I just really like to look at the flame on a candle. But it does make it look modern. It does make it look sleek. It always contrasts nicely with the image on the front. So reserve jars look different than the regular large jars. These are 22 ounces, just like the regular vessels. It's up to 100 hours of burn time, just like the regular vessels. Where you're paying more for, because the regular vessels are 31, these are 34, is the oils. The oils are supposed to be higher quality. In my experience, what that has meant is more complexity, a little bit more depth. It does not mean that they're going to be stronger or throw better. It has to do more with scent quality. I sometimes find reserve jars to be too complex, too conceptual, too heady, and I don't always like the reserve line. There are some very stellar, Jelly Donut, I'm looking at you, Lemon Splash, I'm looking at you, in the reserve line, but in general, I feel like I am a little bit more hit and miss when it comes with reserve scents. But some of y'all really like the complex conceptual scents, and so I'm going to share these with you, give you my best insights, and tell you what I think. So as noted, these will retail for $34. You can use my ambassador code. It is 3-Wick Thesis. That will take 15% off of the purchase. I will also make a small commission. I also wouldn't be worried about these selling out. You don't have to worry about having FOMO or panic buying and thinking things are going to sell out. I think we'll see these around for most of the season. Usually if they sell out, they'll replenish them because they're meant to be kind of a core scent for the season. So use my code if you'd like, check your rewards. Sometimes there are coupons in your reward account that's better than the 15% off discount. And also if you're loyal to another ambassador, please don't feel obligated to use my code. I always encourage people to support the ambassador who you feel like brings you the most joy and that you trust the most. And then if it's not me, I'm okay with that. Let's get into the scent on this one. Vanilla Noir. This is the one I have sniffed already, but I'm going to go through that process again with you. It's whipped cream, pink pepper, bergamot, jasmine, clove, cedar, sandalwood, and musk. And the first thing I get with this one on cold is the cedarwood. It is a raw wood note. Cedarwood can sometimes be a bit, I call it hamster cagey. If you've ever used like cedar, the like shavings for a hamster cage, or if you've ever stepped into a cedar closet or a cedar hope chest and it has that kind of high-pitched note to the wood, it's subtle in this. It's not full-on hamster cage, but there's an essence of it. That high-pitched cedar vibe plays really nicely with the pink pepper that's in here. Feels a little bit bright, feels a little bit spicy, and it really kind of amplifies those notes in the cedar wood. Pair that with what feels like a very high-pitched bergamot and a jasmine that reads more white floral than, say, jasmine green tea vibe. And this is a very bright, almost perfumey, woody note. Like if you told me this had amber in it, I would believe you, but there's not an amber note. However, it is well balanced with some of the heavier notes in here. There's a cream note, the whipped cream note, that is light. It feels a bit airy. It's a little bit sweet. Maybe like a touch of something that almost feels like a vanilla, but mostly it's a milky note that's being added, but not a sour lactonic note. A light, airy, creamy note. Then the sandalwood is warm and soft, and that's playing really well with the musk, which feels kind of, I always refer to musk as like dusty pancake. It's like a little bit sweet, a little bit dusty, but also kind of warm and comforting. The only thing I don't really get in here is the clove. I don't get much clove, if any. Yeah, I don't smell clove. I get mostly raw wood, creaminess, perfuminess. Yeah, it's well blended. It's well balanced. I don't think it's too heavy on the perfume. It reminds me a little bit of one of the Halloween candles that was kind of like vanilla woody body care, but this doesn't go full body care. It feels a little bit more natural, more earthy than like a body care scent. The picture on this one has absolutely, in my opinion, nothing to do with the scent notes. So you have an ice cream cone melting on the beach, and that looks like black sand, like what you'd find on the Big Island in Hawaii. Beautiful blue ocean or seawater with blue sky in the background. I do wish that Kringle were a little more literal with their images, because I honestly think I smell first with my eyes. I think the sight I see on the label prepares me in terms of perception and conceptualization of what I think I'm going to get. And when I look at this, I think aquatic, I think earthy, and I think creamy sweet. Vanilla even. Sugary from the cone. That's not really what I pick up on. This is woody first. It has those warm notes that almost feels like you're wrapped in a blanket or a sweater. And then it has the really floral jasmine, high-pitched bergamot with the pink pepper. So this doesn't speak to me, given the scents, but I do like the fragrance on cold. The next one we're going to talk about is Sea Salt and Melon, and you will see there is some oil. You can see it right here on the jar. But the top on this one is not that oily. There is some scent oil, but it's not nearly as bad as what the green tea pear one is. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, this smells so good. I'm going to go ahead and fire this one up. Oh, y'all, this is amazing. Sea salt, melon, lemon, jasmine. I was so worried about that lily of the valley with wood and musk. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is good. This is so good. I get melon first. And it smells cantaloupe to me, but I also feel like I get honeydew. So cantaloupe is like the orange, fleshy. It tends to be a little bit sweeter, but I also get a honeydew, which tends to feel a little bit fresher. Almost gives me like cucumber vibes, honeydew does. The lily of the valley does come through. It adds just a very slight perfuminess, like a sweet floral. But it doesn't go too white. It doesn't go too sharp. And it actually plays really nicely with the melon note that's in here. It feels, I think you could consider this one more of a body care, but it almost still feels fully edible to me. It doesn't go too far with the perfumey energy. Lemon, wood, and musk. There is lemon in here. Oh, that's nice. It's playing so well with the melon notes. The lemon is a juicy lemon. I don't get zest. I don't get pithiness. It's not like a bitter. I just get juicy, sweet lemon. It kind of just amplifies the sweetness of what feels like a cantaloupe, but then at the same time is adding some brightness to what feels like a honeydew. I don't get musk. And I don't feel like I get wood. Yeah, this is fruity, slightly floral. Is that the wood? Yeah, I don't get woodiness. Y'all, this is really nice. Really, really nice. My hands are oily, so I'm going to go wash my hands again before I touch the next one. I don't want it to affect how I smell the third one. But look at the jar. This one is more realistic. Sea salt, cantaloupe, sitting on a chopping block. I don't think I pick up on the saltiness either. No. Very spa-like. This is a spa scent. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, let me go wash my hands. I'll be right back. Okay, last one. Bayleaf and Fig. Oh, look at that label, y'all. So beautiful. I love figs, like real figs in real life. I don't always like fig as a scent note. I like to go to the farmer's market when these are in season and buy both the green and the purple, but I think I prefer the purple figs. They're a little bit sweet, less earthy than the green ones. There's also a fig tree. There's a school behind me over here. By the way, Marco has joined us. And there's a fig tree there that the coyotes like to eat off of. And I like to try to get some of that fig fruit off of there before the coyotes get to it. But those figs are delicious. And all my neighbors take from the tree too, so it doesn't last long. But I walk by it almost every day and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take a couple of those once they're in season. So I love this. This makes me very happy just looking at it. And then you do have bay leaves. I don't know if you can pick that out, but the backdrop is bay leaves, dark bay leaves. So absolutely stunning label. Love that this is photorealistic with the scent. The notes on this one: bay leaf, fig, bergamot, cedar, violet, vetiver, tobacco, olbanum, and musk. Y'all, I need to look up what olbanum is because I am not sure what that is. Let me look that up for us. All right, that's what I figured. I swear I recognize the term and that it's something else. Olbanum is a botanical technical term for frankincense. So resinous, kind of incensey, that's what we can expect. And it says it pairs well with citrus, and there is a bergamot note in here. So this one is not really oily at all. There's just a little bit of oil, but nothing compared to the others. Same wax, same wicks. Ooh, this is pretty. Oh, that's so earthy. There is a kind of a dark, moody element to fig, and that is coming through really nicely here. Very clearly a dark fruit. There is a sweetness here from the tobacco that's playing really nice with that. I feel like I'm getting something that's almost woody, leathery. Yeah, the woodiness is coming through from the cedar. I'm getting something that almost smells like leather. I think it's the vetiver and how it's playing with the sweetness of the tobacco. Oh, this is stunning. It reads a little bit masculine to my nose. There's something in here that feels a bit... It's I'm going to say cologne-y, but it's not your stereotypical cologne energy. It kind of just smells manly. There's like almost a perfumey element coming through from the bergamot, and then almost like a powdery floral note from the violet. And then the way that's playing with the very sweet earthiness of the tobacco, the incensiness of the frankincense, and then the warmth from the vetiver, and kind of the moody, juicy, fruity sweetness from the fig, it ends up feeling a bit like men's body care. I wouldn't say this is full-on cologne-y. It's also more earthy than just a standard issue like men's cologne scent, because that wood note is very grounding. It's raw wood, a little bit high-pitched because it's a cedar. Oh, this is so beautiful. It's like you're smoking a pipe in a room with a lot of wood, and somebody has like something that's a little bit cologne-y on. So masculine without going, full cologne, earthy, and moody. It feels moody. Like you could burn this in the fall, and I actually think it would be, I think this would make a better fall candle than a spring summer, but I really like it. We'll see how it evolves on warm. I'm curious how that violet note will come out with the bergamot. It might really brighten things up and make this smell a bit more spring summer. Right now it feels kind of heavy and dense and moody and woody in a way that I would expect more in a fall line. Complex, interesting. I really want to get this one burning. I'm realizing I don't really smell the bay leaf at all. It's called Bayleaf and Fig. I really don't get bay leaf in that. So I am going to cut here. I'm going to start burning these, but you will see me after the cut with the other three that were too oily to cold sniff on first impression. And then I will cut again and share with you what I found on these three plus the other three. I will be right back. All right, y'all. I have been patiently awaiting for the oils to seep back into the wax on these other three, and it has not. Not even a little bit. I've been checking it every day because I've been like, ooh, it's going to soak back in. It hasn't changed. So let me just see if I can show you again. This is the one that's the worst, Pear Green Tea. And you can see, let's see if I can tip it without. If you look down here, you can see there is an actual pool of liquid. You can see it move. So it is not soaked back in. I do think it's going to affect the way I smell if I sniff the candle. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you the jar. I'm going to read the scent notes because I can't tip this upside down. Otherwise the oil spills out all everywhere. And then I'll sniff the lid because it's such a high concentration of fragrance oil on cold to stick my nose into this. It's really overwhelming. In fact, I probably could sniff it just doing this. I can smell it so strong, just sitting here like this with it down near my lap. So just to talk about the label first, I love it. I love the green. It feels fresh. It feels light and bright. I love the pears. They're more of a green pear, not a brown pear. And then the cup of green tea. Very small cup of green tea here. Definitely looks like more of a matcha color green tea. However, I don't get matcha when I'm sniffing this. Let's talk about the scent notes. Before I say I don't smell matcha, yeah, there's not a matcha note. It just says green tea. So top notes are pear and bergamot, which, by the way, I get bergamot right off the top. Mid notes are jasmine, honeysuckle, and green tea. And base notes are leather, sandalwood, and amber. So this candle, first and foremost, is very bright. It is bright. It is loud. You get a very high-pitched bergamot. I tend to think of bergamot as being, you can kind of put it on a spectrum, and there's one end that tends to be a little bit more, I refer to it as abrasive or loud. This feels like an abrasive bergamot. I like that. If you like the very high-pitched abrasive bergamot note that's in, say, Bath & Body Works Book Loft, I think you would like this one. They're very similar, although I will say I think this one smells a bit stronger than Book Loft. So it's like one step above in terms of that high-pitched, really sharp, bright element that comes with bergamot scents. I do get the florals. In particular, I get jasmine, but it could also be the green tea note, because jasmine can be a tea as well as a flower. I'm getting just a hint of what feels like a jasmine downy pearl green tea, which tends to be a little bit lighter, a little bit more floral, a little more well-rounded than, say, a different type of green tea that can lean kind of grassy or earthy. It's a very soft, delicate green tea note, but then the jasmine floral also is in there, and I feel like I'm getting something that is bright white that's also playing with the sweetness of the honeysuckle. I am getting honeysuckle, which I'm not always a fan of, but I think it's well done here because it is helping to balance out the bright citrus sharpness of the bergamot. So you have this like really sweet, sharp white floral, but it feels soft in comparison to the more abrasive, sharp bergamot. I don't get pear on cold. There's like a slight sweetness in here, but to my nose, it's reading honeysuckle sweet, not pear sweet. So I'm hoping that pear comes out more on warm. And then in terms of leather, sandalwood, and amber, I definitely get an amber vibe. This candle is Perfumey. If you don't like Perfumey candles, you will not like this one. I would not consider this candle an edible candle. And I don't mean like you eat the wax, right? But I mean like the smell. I see pear and green tea. I think it will smell edible or drinkable. I feel like it will have these food elements to it that make it feel like I'd want to put it in my mouth. I would not want to put this in my mouth. It is very perfumey. It has a high-pitched amber note in it that with the bergamot, I think is going to be too much for some people and possibly too much for me. I'm not always a fan of perfumey scents, but if you are, I think you would be happy with this one. And on cold, I'm not, from here, getting the sandalwood or the leather. I'm going to sniff the lid and see if it's there. Yeah, it is really perfumey. I'm not getting leather. And I don't feel like I'm getting sandalwood either. I'm craving it because those two scents tend to be warm and earthy, and I want something to bring down the perfumey sharpness of this. There's maybe a hint of leather in there. And it feels a bit like, I tend to think of suede notes as being a little more high-pitched. It's not, what I am picking up on, if that is the leather, feels like a less warm leather. It doesn't feel like worn or cozy. It feels more of like a sharp note. Yeah, very perfumey on that one. I don't know. And I am going to just burn this. Those oils will burn off in the very first burn. It might settle back into the wax after that. We'll see how that affects the burn quality, but for now, I'm not going to take, you know, a cotton ball and swab that up because I'm afraid of how that will affect the burn. I'm just going to light it. And I did light the other three. There were a couple that had more oil on them than the other one, and they were fine. In fact, the cucumber one, I lit the first time, it was super strong, and now it's come back down. So I think the oils will burn off, and then the consecutive burns will be more true to the natural scent of the candle. Let's talk about Minted Peony next. Yeah, the label on this one is so pretty. I love peonies. My mom used to grow them when I was a kid, and so there's something for me that's attached to this floral for the rest of my life, to my mother. And my fondest memory of her growing peonies in the front yard was the first year we had them. She panicked about the ants that crawl all over them in the springtime, but the ants actually eat, there's like a soft syrupy layer on the floral that needs to be eaten off in order for it to blossom and open. And she panicked and thought the ants were killing her flowers and went out. She was picking off every single ant on the entire peony bush. Futile effort because they came back, because they need to. But I'll always remember that. I think I was probably like 5 when she was doing that and just seeing her panic about her florals being ruined by ants. So I see a peony, I think of my mom. So I already am going to have probably a bias towards this. Plus I like the scent. I also like the mint in the background that almost looks like floral stems or like part of the peony bush, but it's not. It's mint leaves. Same jar, obviously, because it's still a reserve candle. This one is oily, and it also does have a pool of oil. I'll see if I can get that. You can look here, you can see it rolling around there in the bottom. So this one does have a little bit. It's not nearly as bad as the Pear Green Tea, however, and y'all, this scent is gorgeous. Oh, wow. I love this one. Okay, scent notes. Top are wild mint, lychee, and pear. Mid notes are blush, peony, petal, and geranium. Base notes are vanilla orchid, patchouli, and musk. Oh, this is so gorgeous. So comforting to me. First and foremost, I get peony. And I feel like peony can kind of run the range of smelling a whole lot like a rose, and also on the other end get a little bit, I don't know if like funky, dank is the right word, but there tends to be like this underlying element that feels very dewy in a peony. This one is right in the middle. I feel like you get the sweetness from it that reminds me of like a sweetness you would get in rose, but it doesn't go so dewy and kind of dank that it feels like it's gone too far. It's absolutely beautiful. I don't pick up on the mint at first. Let me sniff the lid. Yeah, I'm not smelling mint on cold. If it's in there, it is, yeah, it's in there. It's more of a, it gives me more of like a spearmint vibe to me, not a peppermint. Or like a very fresh mint, like you literally just went out and picked it out of your garden, because it has a freshness to it that doesn't feel holiday. It doesn't feel sweet or candy-like. It feels very green and high-pitched. I mean, it's so well blended, it almost just feels like what I would associate with like the greens of a peony, like the branches, the stems. It kind of gives me that sort of energy, or like bouquet greens. Comes across almost as bouquet greens. There is a brightness in here that I think is probably the pear. It's not juicy though. It's more of just like a bright, almost floral element, which I sometimes get from especially apple, but also sometimes from pear. It kind of reminds me of how the pear in Bath and Body Works Spring Apple has like almost a floral sweetness to it. I am looking for that patchouli because I love patchouli. I don't smell it. I also don't smell the vanilla orchid or the musk. I'm not getting any of the base notes on cold. I also don't feel like I'm getting the geranium. There is a powderiness to this, which it says blush peony petal, and usually blush means you're going to get like a powdery vibe, but it's very subtle. It's not, it doesn't go deodorant like carpet cleaner powdery. It's appropriately soft and a little bit dusty. I also feel like that could be the geranium coming through, because I know for myself, we have a geranium plant, and when I pull the dead stems and then I smell my hands, it smells dusty. Like it smells dry and powdery. So that could be the geranium. Oh, that is so pretty. Such a beautiful spring floral. I am already excited about putting this in my May rotation because I always have a theme to honor my mom, and this is my first year without her, and it's going to be really hard. So I think this will tie in really nicely with my mom rotation in May, and I'll be able to burn this and think of her. So y'all, I'm straight up totally biased towards this one for that reason. So take that into consideration if you're weighing your options. It's gonna warp my, I can't be objective is what I'm trying to tell you with that one. Okay, Cedar Veil. I also love the label on this one. I just love lavender. And I like the kind of naturalness of this picture. It kind of looks like a rustic farmhouse, or like, you know, you're doing some workout in your she shed. And is that some sort of sea salt? Is there a sea salt note in this? What's galbanum? I need to look this up, y'all, because I don't know what that is. Okay, galbanum is a powerful bitter green and woody aromatic gum resin derived from a plant that is native to Iranian mountain slopes. Says it often gives a sort of incensey or perfumey scent to home fragrance. Okay, so it's not that. Yeah, I don't know what those pebbles, it says sea notes. Maybe that's like a sea salt. This looks like salt to me. Salt with lavender and some sort of wood stick. I don't know. It doesn't look like Palo Santo or anything like that, but definitely some sort of natural wood. That's really, really pretty. Now this one also is oily, and actually you can see in the lid there is wet oil. That's an oil drip by my pinky there. That's not a part of the seal. Oh, it just dripped on my hand. And this one I would say is a little bit better than the peony, but also still, you can see at the bottom there, a pool of oil. So this one I think is the least offensive of the three that were super oily. Oh. I don't know. I don't like this one. Wow. It is cologne-y. Very cologne-y to my nose. And to be fair, I don't like masculine cologne-y scents, so this one is going to be a test of my courage. Scent notes. Top is that galbanum with pineapple and sea notes. Mid is white suede. I think I'm getting the suede. Lavender and freesia. Base notes are amber, cedarwood, and moss. Oh, whew, yeah, I need to smell the lid. That is way too strong for me with all those oils on the top there. The suede is strong, first and foremost. I like the suede note, though. It is a very deep, very dark and masculine, but also soft, leathery note. There's a softness to it, which I think is probably why it's called suede. And maybe that's why it's called white suede. There is something super perfumey / cologne in here. I'm going to guess it's the way that amber and maybe the freesia are playing with the suede, because I like lavender and that's in here. But the lavender is adding like a bright sweetness to it. Yeah, the lavender is bright and sweet, but there's something perfumey, and the way that's playing with the suede note makes my nose think someone just sprayed cologne. So I think it's probably the amber. Do I get pineapple? I don't get pineapple. I feel like I get like an umami in here. There's something that feels kind of like sea salt, seaweed. I think that's probably that marine. The marine, is it marine sea accord? Sea note? Yeah, sea note accord. It almost gives me like an umami sort of energy. Lavender is coming through more now. Yeah, this feels like leather, lavender, amber, and the sea notes. I don't get anything that's too resinous or incensey. The moss is in there, but it's super subtle. It's adding just kind of an earthy, like dry greenness. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. And I now have oil on my pants. I hope that doesn't stain. It probably will. And there's oil. And I've only been holding the lid this whole time, but I have oil all over my palm and all over my fingers up here. So I don't know, y'all. Between now and my post-burn sniff, I'm going to reach out to our marketing manager, let him know. I'll also post in the ambassador group, you know, how bad these are and see if they have anything else to add. And if they do, I'll be sure to report back after the post-burn, because I've never seen anything like this. And I worry that y'all will get candles like this, and this would not be something, if it were my company, I wouldn't want my customers, especially new Kringle shoppers who don't know the sort of quality we're used to getting. I wouldn't want this for my customers. So I'm going to reach out to them and I will report back with my post-burn analysis what I've heard. Let me grab a Kleenex real quick. I want to wipe up my hands. Okay. Back, clean those up. Now let me rank these on cold sniff. And I don't have the other three with me because my melon one is burning downstairs with the hubs right now. My vanilla one is over on the counter. So I will just rank them 1 through 6 based off of memory. And only cold, because I'm already getting warm impressions from the other one, and that would not be fair, y'all. So I would say number 6. I think 6 is actually going to be Pear in Green Tea. That one is super high pitched, super perfumey, and I feel like there's something's got to balance out on warm, or I'm really not going to enjoy that one. Then I would do Cedar Veil as number 5, because although it is cologne-y, I feel like I like leather and I like lavender, and I think that's kind of saving it for me. But of the entire bunch, if you want like a super feminine perfumey one, the Pear on Cold is going to be your go-to. And if you want the most masculine cologne one, it's going to be Cedar Veil. Next, I would do Bayleaf and Fig, mostly because that one, it feels like a fall candle to me on cold. I like the tobacco note in it. I like that it's warm, also masculine, but it doesn't go full like cologne-y vibe to me. 3, I would do Vanilla Noir. I like vanilla scents, but I feel like that one, it's a bit less complex than I was expecting. I kind of want something more from it. Number 2 and number 1 are very hard for me to choose. I think I have to do Minted Peony too as number 2 because I love it, but I don't feel like it's as unique as Sea Salt and Melon. I think Sea Salt and Melon is phenomenal, and I think that it is well done. It is well balanced. I feel like I pick up on a lot of the different scent notes. So that is my cold ranking. I'm going to go burn these next 3, test those, and I will be right back after the cut to share with you my final ranking, burn footage, and then information on scent throw and how these evolved on warm. I cannot wait to get into the rest of this collection. I am back. I have burned through about anywhere from 1/4 to 1/3 of each one of these candles. Before I begin, a couple things. Number 1, if you hear a saw, a hammer, or nails being hit, that is the complex next door getting their wood paneling around our windows redone. I apologize if that comes through on earbuds. I am going to use an AI filter to try to remove that from the soundtrack. I hope it works. The second thing is I did post in the ambassador group about the oily candles. It sounds like we all kind of ended up with something similar, some worse than others. We all are kind of taking a different approach to solving that problem. So I would encourage you to watch other ambassadors' videos and see if their way might work better for you in case you get oily candles as well. For me, I just burned it off and it seems to have been fine. The first burn, especially on the Pear and Green Tea. This was the one that was worst. The first burn was strong, but I can tell you the consecutive burns were also strong, and I've gotten through about a third of that one, and it's not showing any signs that it made it a weaker candle with me burning off the oils on the top. But other ambassadors are using different techniques, so make sure you check that out just in case you have a similar problem. So far, the consensus is still that it's weather related. I don't know. Until I hear something else, I will update you. It does seem a bit odd to me that in a shipment with the latest Easter candles that we didn't get in PR, I had oil on the new ones, but not on the reorders. So, and they shipped in the same box. You'd think if it was weather, it would affect all the candles equally. So I'm not sure. This feels like they maybe needed more time to cure. And I saw another ambassador say letting them sit for 5 days worked, but I didn't have 5 days with this review, so I burned mine off, and it doesn't seem to have affected the scent on these. I'm going to rank, like I always do, from my least favorite to my most favorite, and I gotta be transparent with y'all. This doesn't feel like a collection made for me. Unlike the regular large jar collection that I am just head over heels in love with, I cannot believe how amazing each one of those candles is. Even number 6 was like, this is good, I just wish it was stronger. And even number 5, where I'm like, I don't like laundry candles, but this is good. I don't feel the same about this collection. I have a couple of, I think, hang-ups that are kind of bugging me. Number 1, to be fair, I'm just not a conceptual person, and I really want a candle that's labeled green tea and pear, or pear and green tea, to smell like pear and green tea. And it doesn't have to smell just like that, but like, I want to be able to smell those items in there. My other kind of complaint about this particular collection is that a couple of these feel like fall candles to me. Like, I would burn these in the fall. And the only thing I can think of as to why they would be in this collection is that they are kind of masculine, and maybe it's like a Father's Day thing for June. But then last year there were special candles released in June that were masculine. The Tea Time, the Polo candle, I forget there was a third one in there. So I feel like I want like fresh, bright, fruity, beachy. I want all these different summer elements that on several of these candles just doesn't come through for me. So I really only have my top 2 that I'm super happy with, and the rest of them for me would be a pass, and 2 of them are hard D-stash level dislike for me. And I'm going to share that, the most disliked one, with you first. I also am going to say that I really, really struggled to review this one because I don't like cologne-y fragrances. Every time I had this burning, I would come into the space and just be like, oh my gosh, I need to put this out. I can't do this. I've never been challenged this way before in my reviewing process. And that's not to say there aren't other candles that I would feel this way about. The difference is I'm new to the ambassadorship program, and leading up to this, I've only ever really reviewed candles that I picked, that I thought I would like. And there have been ones that I've been way off on, and you know, I've just destashed them or didn't review them. This is the first time where I was like, you have a responsibility to burn this and sit with it and smell it and figure this thing out. But I got to be honest with you, I still feel like I'm trying to figure this out. And I also feel like if you wanted to have your house smell like a Macy's department store, you could burn these 2 together, Cedar Veil and Pear and Green Tea, because this one, to my nose, is incredibly perfumey. And this one is very cologne-y. And if you have these 2 going, it smells like Macy's. It smells like I walked into a Macy's store. I know that some of y'all love that sort of scent. It's just not for me. If you love what I've heard other people describe, like mahogany teakwood from Bath & Body Works, is a scent I can't stand. But I've heard people describe it as like a sexy man. I want my house to smell like a sexy man. I think this is that same vibe. This isn't mahogany teakwood, let me be clear, but it gives me the same energy. It feels bold and strong and masculine and cologne-y, maybe even a bit aftershavey, with like the lavender that's in here comes through almost a little bit like an aftershave. This thing is strong. I mean, beast mode. It didn't matter where I put this. I could smell it across the room. And because I don't enjoy the scent, I was kind of trying to avoid it, and I really couldn't. Downstairs, it would creep up into the open concept. If I had it upstairs, it was creeping down here. At one point, I was like, maybe I can put it outside. I want to make sure I get through enough of it to like make sure that the burn quality is good and all of that. I put it out on the patio table. I could smell it up in my office. It was creeping into the house through the screen door, up the stairs, and where I sit at my desk. So this thing is strong. It can project. Ironically, not too strong if I had it sitting at my desk. So it's like it can project, but it almost feels like a lot of the scent leaves the area where it's sitting. So I think for this one, if you want maximum delivery in terms of strength and throw, you're going to want to put it a little bit away from where you're going to be at so that you can smell it to its fullest power. I honestly don't have a whole lot to say about this other than it smells like cologne to me. I feel like it is definitely like a suede note, but it feels very sharp to my nose. I get the moss note, but again, it's like a sharp, fresh note. And then I get the floral, which feels like almost like a sharp, it's not quite soapy, but it feels clean. It's also just a very, it feels very fall to me. It feels very, it's bright, it's fresh, it's clean, but it feels very kind of dark and masculine at the same time. Yeah, I really just don't enjoy this one. This is the one I burned the least, and I couldn't do it, y'all. I did my best. I really did try, even to sit with it and try to decipher, like, can I smell pineapple? I couldn't. I don't feel like I got a sense of the freesia in here. I mean, amber for sure, but I think that's just adding to the cologniness. The cedar wood is definitely more of a cologne cedar wood, not like a natural cedar wood when lit. So I would say seek out an ambassador that really likes more cologne fragrances, and I think their nose will be able to better tell you, because all I got was, I need to put this out. This smells like cologne. So that one is not for me at all. Pear Green Tea. I feel like on the surface, I like this candle. I love bergamot. I like the bergamot note in here. I also feel like the green tea note or the jasmine note, one of those two, is smelling like both a jasmine downy pearl. So you get like an essence of kind of a really bright, little bit sharp green tea, but you also get the floral, which often feels more like a white floral. And I'm thinking of like around here in Northern California, you go out at night and the jasmine blooms at nighttime and you get this really strong, almost pungent, like white floral note. I feel like I get that in here. I also feel like it almost feels like an astringency to the sharpness of this. Like there's something that feels kind of drying and high-pitched to the sinuses when smelling this. I don't really get pear, like at all. And if it is in there, it's reading floral to me. It's reading more like a perfumey pear. I don't get sandalwood. I actually am really craving something, anything warm and kind of cozy to cradle this and pull down some of the sharpness in the other notes. And I don't pick up on the leather on warm. It's very bright, very high-pitched, and to my nose ends up reading very perfumey. And I think, again, it's heavy on the amber, and I think the way that's playing with the bergamot and what I assume is a pear note that reads perfumey, it's very, 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 very strong and high-pitched. And speaking of strong, that one is also beast mode. It's a very strong scent. I feel like it did a good job projecting. However, in my open concept, I don't feel like it did as good. If I was in an enclosed space, so like in my testing center or upstairs in my office bedroom, it was almost overwhelming. It felt so strong. But in the open concept, it got lost. And that was especially true when I had a front door open and a bedroom window upstairs open. I was getting a cross draft. It completely left the space. So I think it'll be better for days on there. The air conditioner is running, or in smaller spaces that don't have the kind of draft that will cut through a home. So strong, good throw, but also flees the scene if you get the right sort of draft through the space. Let me see what else. I'm realizing my descriptions are really long in this video. It's because the reserve candles are so complex that there's so much to talk about. Yeah, the only other thing is I have a note here that it's possible it feels stronger than what it really is. I think that's probably true of Cedar Veil too, just because of the scents feeling perfumey and cologne-y. I'm sensitive to that, so it could just be that to me they feel really strong, but if you're used to burning cologne and perfume scents, that it might not be the same. So that's more of just kind of a disclosure. Number 4 is more than anything a letdown. I like the scent on cold, but I can't smell this candle. It literally is unscented to my nose, and that is the Vanilla Noir. And I will go through my experience of trying to get a smell out of this one. There's how far. I'm about halfway through. Lit it in the testing space. That's where I start all my candles. Lit it in the testing space. Was like, yeah, I can't really smell this at all. Maybe it's just the first burn, right? I'll give it a few times to bloom. Second time, couldn't smell it. Third time I went down there, and it was like kind of when you walked through the threshold of the door, you got like a warm creaminess. But as soon as you took like the next step down, the scent was gone. And then I was searching for it and couldn't find it. Couldn't smell it right next to it. Couldn't smell it when I was doing this over the top of it. So I was like, okay, well, let me take it upstairs to my bedroom. I'll sit it on my desk. I'll try to smell it while I'm working and see if I can get a sense of it. Nothing. I could not smell this candle. Now, there have been other Kringle candles that have behaved the same way. I'm going to make a comparison to that one, actually, in just a second. But I resorted to, okay, I'm going to put this in my bathroom, which if you're new here, my bathroom is very small. I live in a 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo. It is maybe 8 by 10, and mostly shower, washer, dryer, and sink and toilet, right? There's not even, 2.5 feet of walkway down the center of my bathroom. It's a very enclosed space, no windows. I shut the door and put this in there. I could not smell it. The only place that I could smell it, and I was so happy when I had this moment, was I went to turn the shower on. So it had been burning in the bathroom. I opened the door. I was like, oh, I still can't smell it. This is so sad. I opened our glass shower door, and it had been entrapped in that enclosure. So it's just a stand-up shower, converted bathtub to a stand-up shower. I could smell it in the shower enclosure, but that was it. That was the only place I could smell it. What I did get was a little bit woody, very soft and delicate, but also creamy. And I swear I got vanilla. There's no vanilla note here, but I swear I got vanilla and musk. So like woody vanilla musk. And then my brain was like, ting, ting, ting. This smells a lot. It's not the same, but it's got some similarities. It smells a lot like Boohoo from the Boo Crew. And ironically, I had this in my bathroom because this one was also designated as a bathroom candle because it can't project. And I was looking at the scent notes. There are definitely some similarities. The Boohoo has a velvety musk, whereas Vanilla Noir has a musk. The Boohoo has fresh peppercorn, whereas Vanilla Noir has pink pepper. Boohoo has rich cream, whereas Vanilla Noir has whipped cream. Both of them have spice, although in Vanilla Noir it's clove, and in Boohoo it's black cardamom and zesty ginger. And then they both have wood notes. This one is cedarwood and sandalwood, the Vanilla Noir, and Boohoo is amberwood and tonka bean. So I don't think they're the same, but I would not be shocked if this were a tweaked version of Boohoo, because they also smell similar to my nose, and they're both equally unscented. Actually, I think Boohoo is stronger, and I railed on this one pretty hard when it came out. I also was not an ambassador when I bought that one. So love the concept, love the smell, but I'm not going to stand in my shower, right, to be able to smell this. And I don't think it's an issue of oil pooling, because this was one that wasn't that bad. And the ones that had the biggest pools and burnt off the top layer were the strongest candles in this bunch. So I don't think it's an oil issue. It could still be a quality control, like defective situation, but I can't with good conscience recommend you pick this one up because mine did not deliver at all. However, I always recommend that you watch other ambassadors because sometimes people smell things I can't and vice versa. So take a gamble and or see what other ambassadors have to say. That would rank much higher for me. That would probably be my number 2 if I could smell it in the space. But I can't, so there it is. Number 3 is Bayleaf and Fig. And this is another one that feels out of season to me. This feels like a fall candle. Like straight up, this is fall. I like it, but I also feel like it's too moody. It's too warm. It's just fall-esque. It doesn't feel like a spring summer candle. I have a lot of notes on this one, so bear with me. First of all, I feel like I get more of the bay leaf on warm. It's still not super strong, but you get kind of a, I feel like bay is kind of like almost a little bit sharp, but very fresh. I don't want to say floral, but there's like a brightness to it. I enjoy bay leaf. I love putting it in stews. I get more of that, but I'm actually craving even more of it. So on cold, I can't really smell it that well. On warm, it comes out, but I want more because I think this candle needs some brightness. It needs some freshness to it. Then you have the tobacco note in here, which is very warm. It's very sweet. It's very earthy. I love the tobacco in here. It's beautiful. Pair that with the fig note. The fig smells like, you can buy this fig jam. I'll go ahead and put a picture of it up here. I buy it at Whole Foods. I eat it with goat cheese and crackers. It's amazing. It smells just like that fig jam. So it's like sweet, jammy, concentrated fig. It doesn't smell like fresh fig to me, which I don't mind, but then that makes it feel heavy, especially with the tobacco. The bergamot in here feels, I don't want to say fully out of place, but it's pretty high pitched. It feels pretty sharp to my nose. And then it kind of plays off the bay a little bit, but it almost feels like it doesn't belong because of the warmth and heaviness of the tobacco and the fig. It's almost like it's too sharp. There's no balance. There's nothing in between that really heavy note and the really high-pitched bergamot note. I want something that makes it feel blended a bit more. The violet comes through and the vetiver comes through more as a powdery note. It's a texture for me. Also adding to the warmth of the candle. I think this would make an excellent Father's Day candle. It feels like hugging my grandpa who used to smoke a pipe. It's similar to that. It gives me that sort of energy. In terms of strength and throw, this one in a smaller space is strong. I feel like I got a really good presence in my testing space. In the bedroom when the window was closed, it was good. Open concept, kind of within the region where it's at. So I have candles on my kind of 3 corners. I have one in my dining room, over here behind me in the living room, and often I'll put one in the kitchen. And I had someone ask me, why don't you just put the candle in the middle of the room? Cats. That's why I don't put my candles in my middle of the room, because if I put my candle right here on my side table, my cats will knock it over. You've seen them bounce around. They bounce over these recliners. My cat jumped over the kitchen counter the other day, right? So like, I have to put them in the edges to be safe. But I think if you put it in the middle of your open concept and you're sitting around that space, you'd be fine. But if you are an outliner like me and you put things on the perimeter, it's not going to fill the space, but it will come into the area where you have it located. I also feel like this one was a bit of a creeper. So like when I had it downstairs, it came up and came around the corner, kind of heading upstairs. I could smell it into the hallway. But again, kind of leaves the area where the candle is. So it's got a lot of shifting and movement. I think it has potential to be strong, but it has to be under the right conditions. I think this was the only one I experienced with wick fallout. I frequently had the carbon balls kind of breaking off and going into the wax pool. I have tweezers. I can pick those out, and I don't know why it was just this one, but I did notice some fallout in the wick, in the wax pool. So I like this one. For me, it's not a love. It's too moody for me. I think you could market this, actually. as a Halloween candle, which I like, but not during spring and summer. Okay. Those four for me are destash. I'm not going to be keeping those four. I'm actually going to send them to my friend Charity over at the Charity Rose channel. She's also a Kringle ambassador. This was not her turn this time to receive PR. I want to share them with her so she can review them on her channel as well. By the way, she often has very opposite nose experiences from me. We kind of joke about it, that everything I love she dislikes and vice versa. So if you aren't in a big rush, I'm literally shipping them out to her today. She'll get them within, 5 days, and then from there she's just got to do her review. So if you want to know more, you want to hear someone who likes perfumes, who likes manly cologne scents, check her stuff out too. Number 2, Minted Peony. I really thought this was going to be number 1. And it's still good. It's excellent. I'm keeping this. I like it. I love it. I actually was kind of hoarding this one a little bit. I'm down maybe a fourth, close to a third of this one. This is beautiful. If you like peony scents, you need this. But I would say that it feels like a peony rose candle to me. And that is because the lychee in here ramps up on warm. And the lychee is a legit, authentic lychee smell. So I feel like there was a candle from Goose Creek. Yeah, it was in the Passport or Traveler's collection last year that was called Japan. And the lychee in that was just too juicy. It was really kind of bright and sharp and overpowering. This legit smells how lychee tastes. And if you've ever had a lychee, it's very delicate. It's very perfumey and rose-like. And I pick up on that in here. So you get the peony scent, which to my nose feels a little bit dewy, a little bit dank or funky. There's something in there that makes it different than a rose. And then the lychee comes in and helps to amplify what feels like a rose note. I also feel like this one felt a bit astringent, like something about it was drying to my senses. I don't mind that. And I know I just said it was dewy, which is weird that something can smell both dewy and astringent, but I think it's the sharpness of the florals that's making it feel astringent, in the same way that, like, when you have rubbing alcohol and it kind of clears the sinuses, there's something high-pitched about this, but it's a fresh, kind of watery peony to my nose. I feel like there is that blush note, blush peony petal, that ramps up on warm. So you get a lot more powderiness. This actually almost goes too far for me with the powder. It does start to smell a little bit like a peony/rose scented deodorant. It gives that level of blush. I know some people really love that, so I think you'll be happy with how this develops on warm in that regard. The mint in here, I don't feel like I get the mint, not as a mint note. It comes through more as just a fresh green to me. It feels like greenery. It feels like the stems and the leaves associated with peony or rose. I also don't feel like I pick up on, I don't get the patchouli. I would love to get more patchouli. I don't smell patchouli and I don't smell musk in this one. I also don't feel like I get vanilla orchid or pear. I don't get pear. So mint comes through as green. The blush peony is definitely there. Lychee reads like almost like rose to my nose. The geranium, I think, is adding to that dusty, powdery element, and I don't get the base notes on this one. So I really like it. It's quite strong. I had this downstairs. It was creeping up and out of the room, very strong in the space. Had it in the bedroom. I was recording down here. The hubs was up working in the bedroom, opened the door, and I was like, wow, that's strong. And he had the window open, so I know it can fill the space. Down here in the open concept, again, it kind of comes into the center of the room. I don't feel like it blasted out the entire space, but I think if you are putting this in a location where you're kind of hanging out, it will be strong. And maybe to some people too strong, because it is a floral and it is pretty sharp. Definitely a floral perfumey vibe. I can do perfumey florals. I can't do stuff that is supposed to smell earthy and sweet that ends up perfumey. So I do like the Minted Peony. I will be keeping that one. We'll see how I feel about it when we're done. I don't know if that it would be a reorder for me, however. I think this one feels like something that I'm happy to have, but it won't be a go back and return to every year sort of scent for me. This next one, though, will absolutely be a return to every year and buy it in a 4-wick. And that is the Sea Salt and Melon. This is so good. And I'm going to make a comparison. And this is no shade at Kringle at all. I know there are some people out there who want Kringle to be their own company. They want them to be unique. They want them to be better than every candle company. I don't do that sort of thing. I love it when a candle from one brand smells like another brand, especially when Kringle Candle smells like a candle that I absolutely love from another brand, but can't smell anymore because they destroyed their formula. If you like Yankees Pink Sands, you will like Sea Salt and Melon. And let me compare the scent notes because I was like, this smells like Pink Sands. I figured it out when it was warm. Did a side-by-side comparison of the notes. All right, so I have my notes for Sea Salt and Melon over here. I have the notes for Pink Sands from Yankee over here. Top notes for Pink Sands are citrus, melon, and berry. Top notes for Sea Salt and Melon are melon and lemon. So we're missing the berry note, but lemon, citrus. Mid notes are osmanthus. Mid notes over here are sea salt, jasmine, and lily of the valley. So there's a floral in the mid note. Base notes, spicy vanilla, musk, and woody on Pink Sands. Base notes on this one, wood and musk. They are not exactly the same, but they are so close to being the same. The difference is Pink Sands, which I recently rebought. Yes, I broke my Yankee no-buy because I can't live without this candle. And now this one came out and I'm like, oh, I could have just got this one. The only difference that I detect on both cold and warm is that this one from Yankee, the Pink Sands, feels creamier to me. The Sea Salt and Melon from Kringle feels fresher, and there's definitely a briny, salty note in this one that I don't get in this one. So if you like the melon, the base notes of the musk, the wood note in here, if you like that kind of like beachy vibe, melon summer, but you want more of a fresh spa sea salt vibe, it's this one from Kringle. I love them both. I will probably still continue to buy the Yankee Pink Sands because I just am in love with it and have been for years. But this scratches that itch for me. Like if I wanted to ditch Yankee altogether, this would make me happy and fill my Pink Sands void. This is so stellar. Okay, I have notes. I should stick to them. Sweet Cantaloupe, number 1 on warm. Number 2 on warm is a honeydew note. I know that others have described it as watermelon. I don't get watermelon. I get honeydew, but I get it with the cantaloupe and like salt. And this is what we do in Michigan. I don't know if this is like a regional thing because the Hubs is from Michigan. He makes fun of me when I do this, but my stepdad taught me growing up, when you pick the cantaloupe out of your garden, it's still warm. You go into your kitchen, you cut it open, and you sprinkle it with salt and you eat it. And that is like the most quintessential summer gardening experience of my life, to take warm fruit that just came out of the ground and have salt on it. There's something so earthy and comforting, and it's so sweet and juicy. I get that from this candle. That's like right off the bat, salty honeydew cantaloupe vibe. It smells edible to me. So despite the fact that there are these floral notes in here, lily of the valley, jasmine's technically an edible floral, it still feels like something I could eat if I wanted to. However, it also feels very spa-like because you have these base notes of wood and musk. So it just adds this sort of almost like body lotion or body care vibe. It feels very comforting, smooth, but again, not as creamy as like Pink Sands from Yankee. The lemon in here is very subtle. It reads to me more like a little bit of juice, like a little bit of juicy citric acid sweetness in there. It doesn't feel too zesty. It doesn't feel lemonade-esque to me. It doesn't overpower. The focus here is on the cantaloupe, the honeydew, and the salt. And y'all, it's amazing. The florals in this are really subtle and also a little bit finicky to my nose. I only get the jasmine note, and it's only if I am farther away. So something about the jasmine note in here is really projecting. It does smell like the flower. It doesn't smell like a jasmine downy pearl tea. It smells like the actual flower blooming at night, but it's also subtle. I don't get lily of the valley at all. So if you're off put by that scent note and you're worried it's going to be too sharp and too strong, I don't get it. I get just a hint of that jasmine, and again, only if I'm further away. This one, medium leaning towards strong. Unfortunately, of the bunch, next to the Vanilla Noir, this is the weaker, one of the weaker ones. I think that in the small spaces, it's stellar. Can fill the space, no problem, feels strong. But in the open concept, almost completely lost. I could smell it if I was really close to it. And then if I was in my bedroom, which is a bigger space with a window open, I got a sense of it, but it felt more like a medium. So again, I think it depends on where it's at. It has potential to be strong. But when I rebuy this, and I will rebuy this, as long as Kringle makes this, I will buy it every year. I will be picking it up in the 4-wick so that I can burn it down here in my open concept and really get a strong sense of it in the space. So I absolutely adore and love this candle beyond belief. I recommend it if you like melon scents. If you don't like melon, you will not like this candle. But I personally do. It's my favorite. All right, I went and got the other 6, the regular large jar, because I thought it might be fun to do like a really long 12 through 1 ranking so that you know how these two collections kind of merge in my head. You're going to see a lot of the reserve candles are at the back end. So 12 would be Cedar Veil. I honestly, I feel like I can't get that out of my house fast enough. It's that unpleasant to me. And again, that is because I'm very sensitive to cologne scents. I think it's a beautifully complex, well done fragrance, but it is not for me. And same with this one, Pear Green Tea. This is far too conceptual, also just far too perfumey for me. So that would be number 11. Number 10 would be Vanilla Noir, which I would rank a lot higher, much higher. This would probably be, if this had strength and throw, this would probably be number 6 for me. And I know I probably can get this in the 4-wick, but I'm afraid that in a 4-wick I wouldn't even be able to smell this in my open concept. So that one is 10 as a result of its poor delivery. Then I would do Bayleaf Fig, which I enjoy, but feels completely out of place for a spring-summer collection, in my opinion. I would then do Strawberries and Cream. Love the scent. Feels a bit been there, done that. I also didn't get much performance in terms of strength and throw on that one. Seemed low, but Minted Peony would be next, and that speaks to how much I really love the regular large jar collection, because I do really like that one, but I feel like the regular large jars are just better. They're more aligned with my tastes. Sun-Dried Linen would be next. I am still fantasizing about the Marine Accord in that one. I absolutely love it. Lemon Drop Cookies I've actually been burning in my March rotation. The Hubs is obsessed with this one. He loves it as much as Lemon Marshmallow Sugar. I think Lemon Marshmallow Sugar is better, but Sugar Lemon Marshmallow, y'all know what I mean. Then I would do Wild Lavender and Blueberry. Definitely mixed reviews out on this one. I absolutely love it. I love the kind of sour, sweet blueberry, the sweet, natural lavender. Gorgeous. Then I would do Sea Salt Melon. And really, the top 3 shine above everything else. These are just all so stellar. 2 would be Citrus Blossom and Honey. But you have to like Orange Blossom, you have to like Honey, and you have to like Neroli to enjoy that one. And number 1, you know, I'm in California. This one's on the East Coast in terms of the distance between 1 and 2. This is just beyond belief incredible. Salted Coconut. Such a good scent. I love this one so much. So I hope that the overall ranking, the post-burn review, I know this video was really long, but I feel like this is my first time getting 6 reserve candles at once, and that they were this complex and just really hard to detect and make out. So thank you for being here. If you've watched the whole thing, and if you've skipped around, that's okay too. I get it. I understand. We got other stuff to be doing today. If you'd like to use my code, you can. It is 3-wick Thesis. It will take 15% off your order. The reserve one's $34, the regular large jar, $31. I'll go ahead and link the regular large jar review below and pop a card up here in case you missed that and you want to see more. I'll give you easy access to that. If you have any questions about these scents, put those in the comments below. I will help you to the best of my ability. Just know I am a new ambassador. I've only been shopping Kringle for about a year and a half. I shopped it like 3 years ago, you know, a candle a year, got away from it and came back. So I'm not going to be able to, you know, go back 5 years history of Kringle scents, but I know other ambassadors can. So if you want like a fresh nose, or you want to compare this to Goose Creek or Bath & Body Works candles, I have a very large repertoire in that area as well. Again, more current stuff, not going really far back, but I will answer them to the best of my ability and see if I can help you out. And before you take off, if you appreciate my Kringle reviews, make sure you give me a thumbs up, subscribe. That really helps to grow my channel and support me in the long run. And I will see you again tomorrow. I have a Wax Melt Wednesday episode, and I am back to doing a melting basket. So I'm going to share with you what I chose to melt in my wax warmers this month. Until then, take care. Bye, everybody.